Shalom, 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 shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh. By Shema Mashiach Kamalak Yahushai. This is Brother Zamran coming live right now to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel, who are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You guys are God's chosen people. I want to say shalom to all the brothers who are on the highways and hedges, putting their brick in, waking up our people in the hopeful elect, in season, out of season, in the tumultuous weather, every single week, week in and week out. I want to say shalom to you, brothers. I also want to say shalom to the mighty sisters in this truth who are reverencing their households, being submissive to their husbands, operating the spirits of our mighty foremothers, cooking, cleaning, sewing, things of that nature. Shalom, shalom, shalom to y'all as well. I also want to say shalom to all the 12 tribes scattered abroad, man. Real talk. I also want to say shalom to everybody that's in the chat and everybody's going to be chiming in. Shalom, Salome Williams, Love Pius, Phineas Gad Israel from Seattle since 1980. Shalom, shalom. As you see, we're going to be dealing with something a little bit different here. Something that's going to be beneficial for our nation because it starts within our household as far as how we build up in righteousness through the Spirit of the Most High. So we're dealing literally with steps on how to have a peaceful household, right? That's what we are dealing with today, right? How to create a peaceful household. You have brothers who may not be married yet, but they have their own household. You have sisters who may not be married yet, but they also have their own households as well. And you also have married, right, couples that actually have a household, whether it's by themselves together or with children that's being involved. So we need to have the steps. We're going to go through the steps, through the scriptures, through the Spirit of the Most High, to show our nation what we can do to make sure that our household is peaceful. Why is this important? Well, because through the curses, right? Let's get it out, right? Let's start it off with Deuteronomy, right? We're cursed as a people. And these are things that we have to realize, right? So if you are married, right, or if you have a household of your own, you're going to want to chime into this, right? So let's get Salakia, man. All right, let me get this, man. Bear with me. Curse one should go in. Salakia, bear with me. Let's get the book of Deuteronomy, right? Chapter 20. Let's start with 20. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's get the verse. Bear with me. Let's get. Bear with me 1 second. Deuteronomy 28. Salakia. That's good. Let's get that. Verse 19. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 19. And it says, cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. So we have to realize that we are cursed even when we come into the household, and we are cursed even when we leave out of our households. So it's very important that we have the steps necessary through the Spirit of the Most High so that we don't have to experience these curses, especially dealing in the household. Because when you're cursed in the household, then it brings out these other curses, right? Like Deuteronomy 28:54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave. That's one of the main curses that we see in the Israelite household from time after time. And a lot of this has the effect, this has a major effect because of slavery, because of the simple fact that we have not listened to the law, statutes, and commandments. When we look at the conditions of our people dealing with our households, we are the ones to blame as Israelites. We have to check ourselves first because the Most High established in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1, it says, and it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations on the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. You see what I'm saying? Verse 6, blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. So we have to focus on that and realize that. This is dealing with the milk. When you are looking for peace in your household, when we are living in a world where Christ says that I think not that I come to send peace, but a sword, you have to absorb the precepts. You have to go through the precepts, keep the law, statutes, and commandments that we are commanded as men, that we are commanded as women, that we are commanded as children, right? To make sure that there's at least some type of peace in your household. Because the moment that we step out, we have to deal with all these demons that are on the left-hand side, that are looking to come and attack our spirits, to knock us off the path of us being on that straight path. See, this is not a wide path. So these curses really come upon us, which is why that you have the man, right, who literally leaves the Israelite household, right? We literally fit the numbers. We're in the highest percentage numbers as far as so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. When you look up the highest percentage numbers, right, as far as the man not being in the household, leaving the mother, right, to have to deal with the children on her own, right? That goes into verse 56. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. You see that? So because of these curses with the man leaving the household, and a lot of it is set up not only through our oppressors who lock up our men at a high alarming rate, stop our men from being able to work and get jobs, so it causes them to go and commit crime. Then they lock our men up for these crimes and lock them up for 20 plus years, sometimes life, which they're not going to give to the so-called white man or to these other nations, because their focus is on breaking up the Israelite household. Or then what that does is you have women who don't have the men that's around, and it causes them to be bitter. The same way it caused them to be bitter towards our men dealing with slavery, when the oppressor would take the man and butt break him in front of everybody. Or the oppressor will take the woman, right, and all out rape her, right, in front of everybody. And the man couldn't do nothing about it. Then it caused our women to resent our men, to the point that now their eye is evil not only towards the son, because when they look at the son, it reminds them of the father, right? They're evil towards their own daughter, right? But even towards their own sister. And this is nothing but a setup, right? Like the sister said, right? This is absolutely a setup from the beginning. These are things that we have to realize, right? So how do we combat this, man? How do we create a peaceful household in our own household? Wherever it is that you're living, like again, you could be a man living by yourself. You may have roommates, right? We're going to deal with that. You may be a woman in this truth, and you're living by yourself, or maybe you're living with roommates. We're going to deal with that as well. Or you're a married couple, and all out hell is breaking out in your household. You have to exhort the precepts, right, to make sure that you create a peaceful atmosphere within your own household. Now let's let's deal with the men first, right? We're going to deal with men, not married men, single men, right? Men who are looking to be married, or men, who are just deciding to be by themselves and focus on the Most High, right? Let's start with them first. Let's get the book of Genesis chapter 35, verse 2, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 35, verse 2, right? And it says, then Jacob said unto his household and to all that were with him, put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean and change your garments, right? So number one, as men, we have to understand what God that we serve. If you are a single man in this truth, you have your own household or you're living with roommates, number one thing that you have to understand is that we have a God that we serve whose name is Yahweh. And when we serve him in sincerity, right, and in truth, we have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, putting away the strange gods that want us to sit there and do things that are against the Most High God. We have to be clean. Make sure that we are keeping our spirit clean, keeping our mind clean, having our mind occupied on prophecy, having our mind occupied, right, on our nation, man, right, in the state of mind that we're in, right. It says to change your garments. You cannot be the same man that you were in the world, being in this truth, and expect your household to be peaceful. You have to create literally a spiritual force field through thy precepts to keep these demons from coming inside of your temple on the left-hand side. Because the scripture says, let's get that real quick, man. Let's get the classic. Let's get the first Corinthians chapter 3. All right, let's go there real quick. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? You have to remind yourself, right, as a man in this truth, if you're living by yourself, that your body is the temple. And you need to have the Spirit of the Most High God dwelling in your temple at all times. So that's number one. And you can pray about these things. Fast, right? It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday battle. But what we have to realize is that this is a battle that we can overcome by keeping our minds occupied on prophecy, keeping our minds occupied on spiritual things, right? This is Philippians chapter 4, verse 16. Philippians chapter 4, verse 16. Salakia. I believe that's what I want. Verse 13. Salakia. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. So when you realize what God we serve, you realize that your mediator is a Mashiach. And if you go through your mediator by praying and asking for him to deliver you from the ailments or from the struggles that you're going through within your household, right? You can do these things and conquer these things through Christ. We have to follow the commandments, right? It all goes back to the commandments. Let's get the book of Matthew chapter 10, verse 36. All right, let's go there real quick. We're still dealing with the men, right? Single men that have their own households. This is Matthew chapter 10, verse 36. And it says, a man's foes shall be they of his own household. You see that? So the stuff that the sins that you actually commit, right, is going to cause your household to be in shambles. The sins that you commit is going to cause your household, right, to have spirits on the left-hand side working at an all-time high. The same way that we go out on the highways and hedges and we're having to deal with our people who have demons on them, and we use the scriptures to exorcise these demons out of them, to bring them back to life, to bring them back to the truth, the same thing that you have to do for yourself. You have to perform exorcism on yourself by praying, by fasting, keeping the commandments, realizing where you're going wrong, taking that leaven, right, up out of your spirit, man, right, and make sure that you're operating in a spirit of unleavened. Understanding, right, and confessing your faults to the Most High. Watching what you're praying for, right? Your household, maybe, you know what I'm saying, you may be struggling financially, right, as a man on your own, right? And you want things to be better financially for you. You have to pray, instead of getting on your knees facing the east and asking the Most High to bless your finances, why not get on your knees, face the east, right, and ask the Most High to forgive you for the sins that you don't even know that you're committing. Repent for the sins and don't do them again. Pray for the Most High to strengthen you and make you more spiritual and more righteous in this thing, man. In this race that we're going in, man. Pray for the spiritual things to uplift you, to keep you strong in this truth. Because if you are operating in the spirit of the Most High is going to provide you for all your needs according to his glory. These are things that we have to realize, thus saith the Lord. So I'm going to read that again. Matthew chapter 10, verse 36. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. So if you're disobeying the commandments, do not be surprised when bad mojo comes upon you and your household personally. Remember that our body is still our temple. So our body is our household as well. These are things that we have to realize, man. Right? And that's a powerful precept. Right? Right? Sirach 27:3. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown. You see that? So we got to be diligent in this thing. Right? We can't be sluggard in trying to make sure. We can't be sluggard, right, in working on our spirit. Right? Let me get that real quick. Right? What did the Most High say about sluggard people? Man? Right? Let's get the book of Proverbs. Right? Let's get the book of Proverbs. Bear with me. I want chapter 6, but there's another one I want. Let's get the book of Proverbs. I like this. Right? Let's deal with this. This is Proverbs chapter 12. Let's start at verse 24. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. You see that? So if you're being slothful, being lazy, not studying, not reading, because these things keep your spirits up. Man, we got spirits on the left-hand side that try to come attack us every day, that try to give us, knock us off our path, get us upset. Hey, surely oppression will make it the wise man mad, Ecclesiastes 7:7. And we're faced with oppression every single day on the daily, no matter how we're doing here on Babylon the Great, because this is not our place of rest. So we have to be diligent in seeking the Most High, because the slothful one's going to be under tribute, right? Verse 27. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. So we're hunting when we are searching. We are seeking out the Most High God by seeking out these scriptures, by praying, by fasting, calling your brother, right? Asking for, literally asking for encouragement. We got to encourage one another in these things, man, right? That's somebody who's hunting, who's being diligent, right? Not when you understand that you're an Israelite, you understand that you can pray, you understand the steps on how to get these spirits on the left-hand side out of your own personal household, right? But you're not exhorting these things, right? Then you are being slothful. You're not taking what you've hunted, right, and cooking that thing, man, and putting it to use. These are things that we have to realize, man, right? This is Proverbs 13, verse 4. The soul of the sluggard desireth and have nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. So if you want to be made fat, right, in finances, if you want to be made fat, right, as far as peace in your household, you cannot be sluggard. Because if you're sluggard, then you don't desire peace in your own household. If you're being sluggard, you don't desire what the Most High can do for you, man. If you're being sluggard, man, right, these are things we got to realize, man. You're going to fall off. And Shalom, Mina Israel, I did get your email. I'm going to get back to you. The water for reminding me. I did get that, right? So let's get another one, man. Let's get one more on these men, right? Then we're going to deal with married husbands, right? Married men, right? Let's go to Ephesians. Right now we're dealing with the single men. And we're going to do the same. We're going to deal with the single women, and then we're going to deal with married women, so that we're not leaving one stone not unturned. We're making sure that we're covering all aspects of the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem HaMashiach, Kwamelak Yahweh Shai, to try to get a peaceful household in your household, man, right? Let's go to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 19, right? Bear with me. Let's get the book of Ephesians chapter 2, verse 19. And it says, now, therefore, ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of God. You have to realize that you cannot operate in that same spirit like when you was a stranger to the Most High God, right? When you was a foreigner to the Most High God, man, right? But you have to realize the moment that you come into this truth, you are now a fellow citizen of the Most High God. Just like we're unfortunately citizens here in Babylon the Great. And Babylon the Great has certain rules that we have to apply to, right? And if we don't apply to these certain rules as being an actual citizen of Babylon the Great, then there's consequences like being locked up. There's consequences that we're going to have to face, right? These are things that we have to realize. The same thing, right? How we have to obey the laws of the land. We have to obey the laws of the Most High God as being fellow citizens of the household of God. Because our household should be centered around Yahweh, man. By Shem Yahushua. You got a lot of our men that, you know what I'm saying, that their households are centered, you know what I'm saying, around what they see dealing with this wicked world, right? Oh, I want my household to be centered around like damn Young Jeezy. I want my household to be centered like Lil Baby. I want my household to be like damn Steve Harvey, man. I want my household to be like, you know what I'm saying, all these men who don't worship Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, who don't believe in him. I want my household to be like TD Snakes, Creflo Dollar, right? I want my household to be like Juju up the street who's selling drugs into the community. Seems like he's peaceful, right? He doesn't have to, he gets up every single day. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't have to go work for his oppressor. He's riding nice whips. You know what I'm saying? Got all the women and this and that, but everybody around him loves him. Did the Most High say that that's how we operate as being fellow citizens in the Most High God's household? No. Right? Because last I checked, the saints are the Israelites. Those who made a sacrifice with him through covenant. And that covenant is that contract that we signed with the Most High God, stating that we would keep the law, statutes, and commandments. And if we did not keep the law, statutes, and commandments, that breaking this covenant, breaking that contract, that there's going to be consequences. And our men seem like that they are just accepting the fact, right, that they're cool with just breaking the contract and dealing with the consequences. But then when they deal with these consequences, they feel like it's unfair. Well, you're the one that's breaking the contract. You have to make a decision. Are you going to do right by the Most High God as a single man in this truth, right? And operate like a fellow citizen of the household of God? Keeping these spirits out from the left-hand side, from clouding your mind, causing you to want to hate your brother, causing you not to read, causing you not to study, causing you not to do the work of the Most High, causing you to follow the ways of your oppressors here in Babylon the Great or wherever you were scattered. You have to ask yourself that, man. You have to be honest with yourself. The moment that you're honest with yourself is the moment that you're going to start being honest with the Most High God. We know what we need to change within ourselves as men. We have to strive to be a better man than what we were yesterday. This is why that we constantly have to pray. Hey, Daniel prayed 3 times a day, right? And 3 is still a number of completion. So we have to operate in prayer. We cannot go a day without it. And that's what's going to help your household as a single man. Watch what the Most High does for you and your household the moment that you start putting these precepts, right? And start putting this stuff into action. Start operating like a citizen of the Most High God, man. Start praying, start fasting. Start being diligent. Stop being sluggard. Now let's deal with the married man, right? Married men. Let's go to 1 Peter. All right, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 3. Let's get that. 1 Peter chapter 3. Let's see what I want. Let's start at verse 7. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Hey, that's deep. If you are a husband, you have a wife. If you are a man and you have a wife being in this truth, you have to honor your wife, man. You got a lot of men that's in this truth, man, that are married, right? And they're just tyrants over their damn, you know what I'm saying, over their wives, man. Damn near like slave masters, man. Taskmasters over their wives, man. Right? They slapping their wives around, telling them to shut up, put up or shut up. Shut your damn mouth and get in that kitchen and cook. That's madness, man. Right? You got to honor your wife, man. You have to show honor to her, man. The responsibilities that she has to take as far as being submissive to you. You want your wife to be submissive in your household, you have to give her a reason for her to want to be submissive. Last I checked, there's an order to this thing dealing with 1 Corinthians 11. And we have a head as men, and our head is Christ. So us as men being husbands, if we're not following the ways of Christ, don't be surprised when your wife goes off. Because if you're not honoring Christ, you're not even giving honor to your own wife. You don't give a damn about your wife. You don't love your wife. You putting on a facade. You faking the funk, man. Let's just keep it real, man. You operating like that wicked man, right? You're operating like that wicked man. And the Most High does not want us to be a wicked man as a husband. Because think about it. When you are a husband, right, that's also another form, like what's spoken about in 1 Timothy 3, as far as being a bishop. Because you are the leader of your household. You are the leader of your household. So you have to make sure that you're honoring your wife, because she is the weaker vessel. If you don't keep the law, statutes, and commandments as a husband, and you have a wife that's in this truth, she's going to fall off with you if her spirit's not strong enough, because she's the weaker vessel. That's not putting the women down. It is what it is. But that does not mean that you sit there and you take advantage of that woman, that you take advantage of your wife, man, right? No, you need to work together and honor her, man. Establish what order that you want in your household, right? The Bible says that let's get that real quick. Let's go to Proverbs 22. All right, let's go to Proverbs 22. Because you got a lot of husbands, man, that yell at their wives all the time, don't know how to speak to them with a soft tone. It's not meaning, you know what I'm saying? Honoring your wife doesn't mean you're not being a man, right? Let's get that clear, right? Let's get the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, right? Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 1. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. So you may have times as a husband that your wife may go off in your household. She may not keep up with her duty as a wife, right? They're the weaker vessel, right? But the Most High says that a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger, right? Don't be like that tyrant, man, in your household, man. Always yelling at your woman all the time. Always yelling at your wife, man, right? You can get her in order by using a soft word, man, if you are a man of the Lord. Because if you are a man of the Lord, man, then he's going to bless you with the woman of the Lord, man. If you are a wicked man, then you're going to get a portion of a wicked woman, like spoken about in Sirach. So number one role as a husband is making sure that you're honoring your wife. Let's get the book of Ephesians, right? Chapter 5. Let's start at chapter 5. Let's start at verse 25, right? This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25. We're going to read all the way through 30. Husbands, love your wives, right? And that's not talking about love, how the so-called white man declares that love is, man, right? Our oppressors, right? That Valentine's Day type love, right? With nasty Edomite babies, with diapers and arrows, right? And you kind of shooting them at your wife and hitting her in the butt. That's not what it's talking about. We know that love is keeping the commandments. So when you're keeping the commandments, which is actually obeying your head, who is Christ, you are loving your wife the way that you're supposed to be loving your wife according to the Most High. So it says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. You see that? Because us as men, we're going to be out there on the front line, man, and protect our women and protect our wives. You'll give up your life, man, to save your wife's life, man, if you are a man of the Lord, right? It says, verse 26, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. So you love your wife when you get into the word. Teach your wife, man, right? You're supposed to be teaching your woman, not allowing her to learn from another man. If you have a wife and you're a man in this truth, man, sit down and do Bible studies with your wife, man. If your wife asks questions, answer it with scripture, man. If you don't have the answer to that, you can easily just call another brother, seek out another brother who has wisdom, who can get that for you, man, because that's showing that you love your wife. Verse 27, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. You want to be holy, which is separate and without blemish. Don't operate like our enemies and how they treat their wives. We've seen what happens when our own people want to sit there and act like our enemies, right? And how they treat their wives. Then you start turning into the damn Ike Turner, man, right? She in there doing exactly what you asked her to do, which is sing the song, and you over there being a tyrant, talking about sing it right. Then she kind of yelling back. She like, I know, Ike, I wrote it, right? The next thing you know, all hell breaks loose. Then you kind of grabbing her out the damn studio, man, right? And then dragging her around the damn house, man, beating her, man. Like shown on that movie, What's Love Got to Do with It, right? Slapping each other up in the damn limousine. When did the Most High say to be a husband, right, and to honor your wife is slapping her up and down in the damn limousine, man, giving her black eyes, man, and bloody noses, right? You want to be without spot or blemish, right? Verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies, because you're not going to sit there and just start slapping your own self, punching your own self, man, right? And abusing your own body. You're not going to do that to yourself. So why would you do that to your wife? Same thing goes with mental, right? You can mentally abuse, right, your wife if you are not exhorting the precepts, man. These are things that we have to realize, man. Somebody said, why do you have an IUIC leadership photo for the thumbnail? I just went and saw a picture and typed up a picture and said Israelite families, and that's what popped up. So ask Google. Don't ask me. This is not the place for scoffing. We're not dealing with that, man. Right? I thought it was a beautiful picture showing a beautiful picture of an Israelite family. Am I wrong for that? Stop being overrighteous. Now, let's continue. Verse 29. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. You see that? We got to constantly remind ourselves, man, right, that we are members and we are part of this body, man. Right? These are things that we have to realize, man. Right? You yourself, as a married man, you are part of this body of Christ, man. So you have to operate with that light. You not only have to be a light to the nation of Israel and even to these Gentiles, but you have to, number one, importantly, be a light to your own wife and your household. Because it's the order. You have the Most High, you have Christ, you have the man, then the woman. It doesn't say the man and then your camp, or the man and then the whole nation of Israel. No, the man and the woman. So if you have, right, if you have literally a wife in your household, right, that is your responsibility to make sure that you are operating like the mighty man that you were supposed to be operating in, so that she has something to look up to as far as being submissive to. These are things that we have to realize, man, right? Let's get another one, man. Let's get the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. This is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition admonition, Salakia, of the Lord. Because when you have a household, you have a wife, right? We're commanded, one of the first commandments given to men was to be fruitful and to multiply, like spoken about in Genesis. So that's going to bring forth children, right? And it's very important for fathers to not provoke your children to wrath, right? Don't sit there and encourage, right, the stuff that our children are seeing in the world that we're living in. Hey, they coming up in a world that's way more wicked than what we came up in, right? I was born in 84, right? My 13-year-old son has seen things that I was never able to see at age 13. And I do the best that I can to keep him away from these things, which is why I have him do the work, which is why I have him on the highways and hedges teaching the word, man, right? To keep him away from the evil doings, man, over here in this wicked earth, man. Because when he gets up and goes to school, I talk to him all the time. He goes to school and he tells me things that happens, and he's only in 8th grade. He's going to be in 9th grade next year. When he goes to school, he sees things that I never seen at 8th grade in junior high school. I was just talking to him yesterday when we was leaving camp, right? And I was like, bro, I was just kind of bringing up a point. I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? These children, they be doing all types of wickedness. He'd be like, yeah, Dad, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? These children be, you know what I'm saying? They be at school smoking weed, you know what I'm saying? Vaping, right? Having sex, doing all this type of stuff. I'm like, damn, in 8th grade? He's like, yeah. And he's surrounded by these things, man, right? So you got to make sure as a father, especially if you have sons, that you surround them, right, through the scriptures. You surround them with that covering, that you teach them how to operate like a young prince, what is okay and what is not okay. Don't encourage, right? Don't encourage stuff that is folly. And I'm just going to use my son as an example, right? If I see my son sitting out there, you know what I'm saying, and he's listening to a bunch of, you know what I'm saying, hip-hop music, you know what I'm saying, of this world, I'm going to tell him to change the music, man, right? I try to stir him, you know what I'm saying, to listen to artists that are in the truth. And I've been doing that for quite some time, that he don't even really like listening to a lot of these secular artists. To the point that he won't even listen to certain Israelite artists because he said, man, they sound too much like the secular world. Right? This is the type of stuff that we want to surround ourselves, our children around, man. Right? We have to be careful as fathers what we're actually listening to in our vehicles with our children in the car, man. Right? Those spirits can transfer down to your children. Fathers, be careful of how you treat your wife. You may have a daughter who's looking to you like, okay, this is how a man, if I'm going to get a husband, right, this is how a husband's supposed to treat me. This is what I should be looking for. And if you sitting there being a tyrant and beating your wife around, right, slapping her around on some Ike Turner type spirit, man, right, because all your wife did was just yell back and say, I know, Ike, I wrote it. Then the daughter is sitting there is like, well, she don't got an example of what a man's supposed to be. She only knows what she sees. So then she gets older, and then she seeks out another man just like that. Everything is out of course. That's why everything starts with the man as far as dealing with his household, right? Brother brought out a precept, Colossians 3:17, right? Let's get that, right? Let's go to the book of Colossians, right? Chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, giving thanks to Yahweh and the Father by him. You see that? So whatever it is that you do, make sure that you do it in word, man, right? Like my brother Jerry Dawson said, man, right? As for me and my house, we shall serve Yahweh. That's facts. And this may be a heavy subject, but we have to go over this, man. Because we have to get our households in order. Because if our household is not in order, then all hell is going to break loose, man, outside of the household, man. Thus said the Lord. Let's go to the book. Let's go back to Ephesians. Let's go to the book of Ephesians chapter 4, right? Verse 31. Right? Let's go to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31. And it says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. Watch what you say to your wife, man. We're not in the world no more. We're not in the world no more. If you are in the truth and you have a wife who is being submissive to you and is wanting to learn from you these laws, statutes, and commandments, man, in the truth, man, she's going to have moments that she's going to go off. Don't sit there and be like, you know what I'm saying, and call her a bitch. Have some compassion, have some grace, have some mercy, because you want the Most High to have some mercy on you as well. Don't be slapping her around, man, right? Don't be so quick to sit there and divorce a woman, right? Work with your woman, work with your wife, man. Be patient. Have that spirit of long suffering. Last I checked, that's part of the fruits of the spirit, right? Don't be such a tyrant, man. Don't call her out of her name all the time, right? Because if you're being righteous, the Most High is going to bless you with the right woman, especially if you proved a friend. Put away anger. The Bible says, ye be angry, but sin not. Don't allow that anger to cause you to sin to the point that now you're disrespecting, right, your wife. You're not honoring your wife. You're not loving your wife like Christ loved the church, man. Hey, us as men, we've all gone through it. I can attest to it, right? We've had to deal with some wicked women. Hey, I've had to deal with wicked women, you know what I'm saying, in this truth. But guess what? I learned from that situation. The Most High freed me from that situation. But at the end of the day, when I look back on it, it was my fault. Why? Because I wasn't doing the things that I should be doing to make sure that I'm making sure I have no spot or blemish, making sure that I'm keeping my spirit right, making sure that I'm doing the best that I possibly can to make my calling and my election sure. These are things that we have to realize, man. These are things that we have to realize, right? Thus said the Lord, man, right? So let's read that again, man. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4, right? I believe that's what, no, 4, verse 31. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice, right? Let's start at verse 32. And be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. If you cannot forgive your own wife, what makes you think the Most High is going to forgive you? The same way, if you can't forgive your own brother, what makes you think the Most High is going to forgive you? If you can't even forgive your own wife, you think the Most High is going to send these spirits on the right-hand side to make sure that there's some type of peace in your household? No, all hell is going to continue to keep breaking loose, man. Right? All hell is going to break loose. Right? Watch how you speak about your wife, man. Uplift your wife, man. Encourage your wife, man. Right? It's like that old song in Christianity. Encourage yourself in the Lord. Oh, right? You got to have that mindset. Encourage your household. Don't be that man, right? And then, you know what I'm saying, you leave your household, you get around the brothers, man, right? And you calling your wife the damn devil, man, right? I got to deal with a demon, right? No, brother, right? You should have the tools. You're in this truth. Get in these scriptures. If you feel like you're dealing with a demon as a wife, exercise that demon, right, by pulling the precepts. And it starts with yourself by making sure that you're walking righteously and you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. And you could be coming into this truth. You maybe came into this truth, right, married, right, and you guys were already married before you got into this truth. And let's just say the wife does not want to hearken to you, man, and does not want to make changes for the Most High God. But you're making the changes. You know what the Most High is going to do? He'll put a spirit in that woman to cause her to go commit adultery, right? That will give you the leeway to separate from her. I've seen it. Trust me. You never know what the Most High is going to do. But if you're not focusing on yourself as a man, as a husband in this truth, the Most High is not going to fight them battles, man, for you. You're going to be left there. You're going to be left there, you know what I'm saying, unawares, man. You're going to be left by your damn self, man. And you're going to have to figure it out, right? Let's get the book of 1 Timothy real quick. And then we're going to get on these women, right? We're not leaving y'all out either. I just want to get on the men first, right? To give them the tools, because it starts with the men when dealing with the household, man, right? And that's the spirit. I'm going to be bringing that out. Right, let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 2. This is 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 2. Matter of fact, I start at verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. So we have troubled times that are coming amongst us. Guess what? There's troubled times that are coming at an all-time high within our own households as husbands, right? Verse 2. Matter of fact, I'm in 2 Timothy. I want it 1 Timothy. Let me get 1 Timothy. Shalaki, right? But that's powerful too. This is what I wanted to go into. 1 Timothy chapter 3. Let's start it. I'm gonna start at verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth the good work. If you are a man and you desire, right, to be married, to make children, to create a household, that's also like having an office of a bishop. An office of a bishop is leadership. That's why everybody's not set to be leaders, right, of certain camps, organizations, right? Not everybody is set out to be a leader. You have certain men that are not ready to be married yet because they haven't learned properly how to be a true leader, how to accept that role as a bishop. Some men get married and they're not ready or mentally ready to be a leader, and all hell breaks out in your household because you don't have the leadership qualities or the tools to be able to work these things out. It says, verse 2, a bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality. Key thing, apt to teach. Apt to teach. And you got to be apt to teach to be able to teach your wife, man. If you're not apt to teach your own woman, then I'm going to be honest with you. You're not ready to be married in this thing, man. You must have at least one wife before you can even call yourself a leader. You see that? Because if you don't even have one wife, then obviously the Most High is telling you that you should be learning how to lead yourself, learning how to lead your own spirit. You have to start off by learning how to lead your own spirit. So when you are a husband, especially if you got sons, you have to raise your sons up at an early age to learn how to lead their own spirit, so that when they learn how to lead their own spirit through the spirit of the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, then they're going to be able to learn how to find the right wife, right? Because who can find a good who can find a wife? Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Proverbs 31:10, right? They're impossible to find. So you have to learn how to lead yourself at first before you try to lead another woman and lead a wife. These are things we have to realize. And you need to at least have one wife before you decide to start teaching. That goes deeper, right? You got a lot of brothers that's teaching, right? And don't have a wife, right? And it's okay to be a brother and teach, other brothers, right? But you can't really declare yourself as an actual leader unless you actually have a wife that you are leading and you are actually leading your household. These are things that we have to realize, man, right? Let's get one more on the husbands, man. We're going to deal with the women, the single women, right? Let's go to James chapter 1, verse 19. Let's go to the book of James, right? Bear with me. Chapter 1, verse 19, and it says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, right? So you got to be swift to hear, right? The words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You have to be slow to speak. And that's even dealing sometimes with your wife. Sometimes it's okay to allow your wife to be able to speak. Don't be that tyrant and just act like she just got to shut the hell up at all times, right? If she's coming with that right spirit, through the spirit, if she's speaking the ordinances of the Most High God, right? The oracles of the Most High God, like 1 Peter 4:11. Hey, just hear that thing out for a minute, man, right? She's there to be your helpmeet. She's not going to be able to help you if you don't allow her to even speak to you, right? Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, right? Verse 20, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God, right? Don't allow yourself to be so angry that you start to sin, because then you're not operating righteous in your own household, and you're not leading your wife the correct way that the Most High set this thing out to be. That's why we are cursed when we go in, and we are cursed when we go out. That's why Deuteronomy 28:54 has been in effect. You want to break these curses, you have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You want to be blessed when you go inside your house and blessed when you step outside your house, you have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You want your woman to be submissive and be that true helpmeet that the Most High Yahweh created her to be, then you have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You have to be that example so that you can give her an example of somebody that she wants to be submissive to. Con? Now let's deal with the women, the single women, right? The single women that like to listen to Beyonce that say, oh, the single ladies, right? We're going to deal with y'all, right? Let's get the book of Matthew, right? Bear with me, I lost my voice at camp yesterday. Mighty camp we had yesterday, right? Mighty camp, unity camp that we had with Yasharala over everything, with our dear brother Jerry Dawson, JD Smooth, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 6. Let's start at verse 33. This is Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. You got a lot of women that be like, I want a man. I'm looking for a husband. I'm praying. They praying for a husband, right? Well, the Most High says that you have to do what? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, right? And how do you get, what is everlasting righteousness? How do you receive everlasting righteousness? By keeping the law. You need to be seeking the law, statutes, and commandments as a woman, a single woman first, before you actually seek out a husband, right? Because if you're seeking for righteousness as a woman, everything else that you need is going to be added unto you, which the Most High will add a husband unto you. If you're seeking out righteousness, he's going to add unto you literally a righteous man, right? These are things that we have to realize, right? If you're not seeking the kingdom of God first and seeking out his righteousness as a woman, then you're going to end up getting a man that operates in the spirit of Ike Turner. You're going to get a man, right, that operates in that spirit. Like, what's that brother's name, man, on that damn nasty Tyler Perry movie, man, right? That was slapping her around, right? Then she tried to get revenge, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I'm saying, kind of had him in the bathtub. He's like this in a wheelchair, right? These are things we have to realize, man, right? And all praise to the Most High, man, right? Shout out to IUIC, right? So IUIC leadership was going off this AM on Patient Saints Radio. They asked each other, will they remarry their wives? The reason why not was so petty. Well, the Most High gives us reasons why we shouldn't remarry, right? If we divorce a woman for committing adultery, right, and then we decide to take her back, that's a sin, right? She's defiled. So I don't really know what was going on with that, but hey, man, shout out to IUIC and the work that they're doing for the nation of Israel. Shout out to Bishop Nathaniel, man, right? It's nothing but love over here, you know what I'm saying, as far as over here at WFI Seattle. We don't hate on camps, man, right? We give all praises, honor, and glory to camps that are out there doing the work. Yes, every camp operates different, but every camp is important for the edification of the Most High God, man. Right? These are things we have to realize, right? Con? So let's read that again. Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. You want a husband to be added unto you? Seek the Most High God first, man. Diary of a Mad Black Woman. The why? That's exactly what it was, man. Diary of the Mad Black Woman, right? These are things we have to realize, man, right? Now, let's go to Psalms chapter 143. I believe that's what I want. Let's go to Psalms. I believe I want 143, right? Bear with me. Let's deal with Psalms 143, verse 10. Teach me to do thy will, For thou art my God. Thy spirit is good. Lead me into the land of uprightness. Right? Understand, if you are a woman in the truth and you're not married, your head is Christ. So you need Christ. You need these scriptures to teach you, right, how to do thy will. And there's nothing wrong with looking to another man, right, if you are not married, for spiritual guidance and wisdom. But make sure that you look to a man who honors his head, which is Christ. Right? These are things that we have to realize, man. Right? Let's read that again. Teach me to do thy will. Right? You got a lot of these single women that are wanting to be taught to do the will of the so-called white man. To do the will, you know what I'm saying, of Beyonce, of Megan Thee Stallion, of Cardi B, right? Of Glorilla, right? All these women that are of Israel, man, that are forcing our women to commit abominations, right? We have to commit. You have, as a sister, you have to commit to doing the will of the Most High God, man. Of the Most High God. These are things we have to realize, man. Con? Now, let's go to Sirach, chapter 26. Right? Let's deal with it. Let's get to the heart of the meat of the matter. Right? We got on the men. We got to get on the women too. Right? We got on the men. We got to get on the women too. Right? Let's go to the book of Sirach. Right? Chapter 26. Let's start at verse 8. This is Sirach, chapter 26, verse 8. A drunken woman and a gatherer abroad causeth great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. Right? As a woman, if you're looking for a husband, you're single, man. Right? Don't be sitting there consuming alcohol all the time, being drunk, man. I see a lot of single women, man, that just sit there and they consume a bunch of alcohol, right? They hanging out with their homegirls, right? They're putting themselves in great danger, right? And in great anger, right? They have no shame about themselves, just loud and obnoxious, right? That's not how you're supposed to operate as a woman in this truth. That's not how you're supposed to operate, period, if you are a woman. These are curses that fell upon our women. And then you're wondering why there's no peace in your own household as a single woman. That there's no peace within yourself. Because you want to sit there and live like all the nigga womans, you know what I'm saying, or the thoughts out there in the world, out in the streets, out in the clubs. But you got to operate in the spirit of our mighty foremothers, right? Like Esther, right? Rebecca, Sarah. Right? These are things that we have to realize, man. You have to operate in the spirit of our mighty foremothers, right? Let's jump to verse 12. Sirach chapter 26, verse 12. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow. Now understand that the Most High speaks in similitudes, metaphors, dark sayings. What is this talking about? Let's break this down. She will open her mouth, right? Which means she will open, let's just keep it real, man, right? She will open her vajayjay, right? As a thirsty traveler, right? Because she's thirsty, man, right? To the point that she's going to give it up to anybody, right? And will drink of every water near her, which means that she's willing to sleep with every single man that comes around her, right? In that thought spirit, man, right? By every hedge will she sit down, which means she's willing to literally sit down, right? And go into every single man, right? That has that type of private part, right? And open her quiver against every arrow, right? You don't want to be a thought as a woman, as a single woman. You're wanting a husband, but you're operating like a thought in the streets, man, right? You walking around in the world with that thong, 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 thong type spirit. Most times not going to bless you with the righteous husband. He's going to bless you with a nigga man from the streets, right? Who realizes that you're going to open, you know what I'm saying, right? That hot girl summer spirit, man. You want to be in that hot girl summer spirit, and then you're looking for a husband, or you're looking for a man, right? He's going to give you juju from up the street, that understands that you want to sit there and open up and literally open up your mouth, right, as a thirsty traveler, then he's gonna pop you, right? Then you might end up pregnant, and then you're gonna be left alone to sit there and raise a child. Then you're gonna be sitting there talking about, oh, niggas ain't, while you raising a son, and then you so mad, you looking at the son like, you remind me of your damn daddy, right? And all hell breaking loose because you wanted to participate in Hot Girl Summer, because you wanted to be part of Freaknik, man, or Freaknik, whatever that stuff is going around, man, right? You wanted to hang around Uncle Luke, man, right? When the Most High said this, right, in Deuteronomy 23:17, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor sodomite of the sons of Israel. See that? The Most High is not dealing with thoughts. The Most High is not dealing with city girls. The Most High is not dealing with that Glorilla spirit talking about, I think I should be the president the way I lead these niggas on. Most High's not dealing with that. That's madness, right? Let's jump to verse 14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worthy as a mind well instructed. See, that's how you want to operate. If you are a woman, a single woman. If you're a single woman, you're being silent, right? You're being loving, right? By keeping the commandments wherever you go, right? There is nothing so much worth than a mind that's well instructed. Your mind is well instructed. If you're reading the precepts, you're reading the accounts of our mighty foremothers, your mind is going to be well instructed to know what type of man is for you, so that you can have a powerful household through the spirit of the Most High, Yahweh Ba'Shem HaMashiach HaMalak Yahweh Shai. Right? Let's jump to verse 25. But if your mind is not like that, man, and you want to operate like the Beyoncés, right? Like the Rihannas of this world, right? Where she's kind of dragging her husband along while she's showing off her belly for the whole world, pregnant, right? And she's kind of dragging her husband along like he in a damn leash, right? If you want to operate like that, then this is who you are. This is Sirach chapter 26, verse 25. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear the Lord. She that is shamefaced will fear the Lord, right? We got a lot of shameless women out here, man, right? There's no shame about themselves. And the Lord said that they shall be counted as a dog. And if a woman is counted as a dog, we know what that translates to, man. We don't have to say it, right? These are things that we have to realize, man, right? So don't be a shameless woman, because you're not going to be able to find that right man, right? This is Sirach chapter 26, verse 3. A good wife is a good portion, which shall be given in the portion of them that fear the Lord. You see that? So if you want a good man, right, you got to make sure that you're working on yourself. The same thing dealing with the men. You want a good wife? You're trying to find a good wife? He that findeth the wife findeth the good thing. Make sure that you're working on yourself and you're not acting like the men and women in this world, man. Because they're set up by our oppressors to blind you from how to run a household, how to keep a household peaceful, man. Thus said the Lord. And remember, your body is your temple. So that's also a spiritual household, right? Now let's deal with the wives. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, a classic, man. Right? Chapter 11, verse 3. All right, let's deal with it. Salakia. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 3, the classic. Now that you got your mind well instructed, right? You've been loving. You've been quiet. The Most High now blesses you with a husband. Now you have an household. Now you have a duty as a woman. Now that you have a husband, right? Matter of fact, before we go there, let's go here. What my brother JD would call the real 3:16. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire, key thing, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So understand that that was set up from the beginning, that the husband is meant to rule over the wife, and her desire shall be towards her husband. Her desire shall be towards making sure that she's honoring her husband and being submissive. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ. So again, us as men, we have a head, right? And the head of the woman is the man. And the head of Christ is Yahweh. Even Christ got a head. So what makes you think, as a wife in this truth, that you should not follow your head? And you have a husband who's in this truth, who's doing the best that he possibly can to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You talking back to him all the time. You talking about him behind his back. You're not helping him out to make sure that he has the tools and the things that he needs to do the work of the Most High God. You're not cooking. You're not cleaning. You're not taking care of the children. You just sitting around while he at work all day on the phone talking about, girl, let me tell you, watching damn Maury, right? Or Young and the Restless, right? Being a drunkard, right? Understand that you have a head. If your husband is in this truth and he's being a man of the Lord the best way he possibly can, who are you as a woman to sit there and not be submissive? You complaining because he been at work all day. Where are you going to spend some time with me? Where's my time? You've been at work all day. I ain't seen it all day. I didn't cook, but you know what? There's a TV dinner in the microwave. You've been at work all day. Most High is not dealing with that, right? You are actually sinning. You're not even understanding that your husband is your covering. Your husband is going to be the one that's going to get you to the kingdom. If he's keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, he's your covering. He's your covering because you are the weaker vessel. Right. That DoorDash spirit. Right? I cook. You want me to cook you something? It's 9:30. You've been at work all day. I just order you DoorDash, whatever. The brother been at work all day, man. He don't want no damn DoorDash. That's off. Right? That is off. Get up, make him a meal, and do it with love. You got sisters that are married, right? And a husband asks them to make them a meal. They may get up and do it, but they be in the damn kitchen just angry. You hear dishes slamming everywhere. Damn cabinet doors. They slamming the cabinet doors. And the husband in the room like, damn, what's going on? She up in there mad, upset because she got to make him dinner, make him breakfast, right? These are the things that we see. You're not helping that household to be peaceful when he's doing his job as a husband to not only keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right? To love you, to make sure that the bills is on and that the lights is on in that house. But he's doing his best to try to lead his household to righteousness and lead his household to the kingdom. Right? And that's a great point. You got sisters coming over here chiming in. The husband shouldn't even have to ask, to be honest. It should already be done. Right? You don't have to ask your husband to get up and go to work. You don't have to ask your husband to be a man. So your husband should not have to ask you to make him a meal, man. Right? I agree with you. Right? Hey, we're kind of getting real in this thing, man. Right? Run him a bath and have the dinner ready, or someone else will. Because we do know that men can have multiple wives. Then you got women like, oh, hey, I don't know why he wants another wife. I got everything that he needs. Right? But then when he's out at work, she on the phone with her homegirl talking about, I forget him. I kick him in his balls. He ain't nothing. Right? Then the Most High blesses him with another wife. And now you want to be jealous. Well, the Most High says that it's not good for women to be jealous. Right? It's not good for women to be jealous of another woman. If you're being submissive to your husband, and you're doing everything in your power to make sure that he has everything that he needs, man. Right? You're being shamefaced. Right? You're keeping the law, statutes, commandments. You're cooking. You're operating, right, in the role that you're supposed to be operating in. Right? Your husband's going to be pleased with you, man. Thus said the Lord. Right? Now let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 25. All right, let's go to Sirach, chapter 25. All right, let's go to Sirach, chapter 25. Let's start at verse 15. All right, this is Sirach, chapter 25, verse 15. There is no head above the head of a serpent, and there is no wrath above the wrath of an enemy. I had rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. You see that? A man does not want to deal with a wicked woman. You don't want to operate like a wicked woman, because the Most High said that it's better for a man to go and marry the dragon from Shrek than to deal with your haughty self, man. Right? These are things that we have to understand, man. Right? And that's a great point. Right? You don't find a woman and try to turn her into a wife. Look for a wife instead, and she will take care of you and his house. And that's a great point. But we got a lot of our women too as well that are being led the wrong way because of the society that we live in. Because we're living in these last days and wickedness is at an all-time high. They turn on the TV and the examples that they give of women, and then they pay them all these millions of dollars, man. Right? They give you Lori Harveys. You got women talking about like, go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl. Black power, right? Black excellence. Women empowerment. And it's causing our little girls to grow up and literally have that same mindset, man. Right? The Lord said that I'd rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. See that? Verse 17. The wickedness of a woman changeth her face, and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. Her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and when he heareth it, shall sigh bitterly. See, if you're being wicked, right, to your husband who is in the truth, then he's going to sit there, he's going to sigh, right? When you're around your other brothers, when you're around everybody, then that woman comes around, right? We've seen these things happen, right? You got a brother that's in the truth that's dealing with the wicked wife because he doesn't want to put order. He doesn't want to step up. Maybe it's something that he's not doing, right? But he's dealing with the wicked wife. Brothers come around, then his wicked wife comes around, and the whole mood changes, right? The whole mood changes. These are things that we have to realize, man. These are things that we have to realize. Nobody's trying to deal with the wicked woman. And if you are a married woman and you are being wicked towards your husband, you are giving your husband a bad name. He doesn't have a good name. They're going to be looking at him like, yeah, you soft, bro. You ain't got no, you giving your strength to a woman. Or maybe you doing something, brother, that you don't say that. Maybe there's something you need to be working on, brother, because this is madness. This is not how this is supposed to go if you're in this truth, right? Like the brother said, man, in Proverbs 21:9. Right, let's pull that out real quick. Right, let's pull that out. Right, he said, don't be a nagging ass wife, man. We're going to keep it 100. Right, Slaki. Right, don't be a nagging wife. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 21. Right, verse 9. And it says, it is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. Right? Nobody's trying to deal, right, with the UFC woman, with that UFC spirit, man. That Ronda Rousey spirit. Always rousing up the household, man. Rousing up against your husband. Got to talk back every time that he says something or asks of you to do something. If the brother is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, sister, you are blessed and you don't even know it. You are blessed and you don't even know it. And you're wondering why your household is not peaceful. Because you're not bringing peace to your husband. We've seen those phrases dealing on social media, right? Memes, right? Like, girl, be his peace already. He already got to deal with the world, right? He already got to deal with his oppressors. So why don't you be his peace? Girl, be his peace. Because Christ is already not coming back to send peace, but a sword. So why don't you be his peace? And Salakia T-Sellers, I always get that wrong. Salakia, sis, my bad. Forgive me. Forgive me, sister. Right? Now look at the book of Proverbs, chapter 31. The classic. Chapter 31, verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. You're not going to be able to go to damn every kiss begins with K and ask for a ruby. They don't have them there. Right? You're not going to be able to go to Weisfield Jewelers. It's coming straight from my heart and ask for a ruby. They're not going to have it. You're not going to be able to go to Fred Meyer Jewelers and ask for a ruby. They're not going to have it. You're not going to be able to meet up, right, with a mob boss, right, a mobster, right, and get diamonds, man, or get rubies. You're not going to be able to find these things, man. Rubies are hard to find. You have to dig deep. These things are not going to be able to come up, man. You know what I'm saying? Into the kingdom. Rubies are hard to find, right? Like that kids movie, Flushed Away, right? With the damn rats, right? That got flushed in, you know what I'm saying, from the house into the toilet and into the sewers. Everybody down there in that sewer with the damn frog and the rats, they fighting over a fake ruby. They thought it was real. And those things are hard to find. The same thing it is to find a virtuous woman, right? A woman who's in this truth, a woman who wants to be submissive to their husband, right? Who understands her role, who understands how the Most High created her to be, who understands that it is a beautiful thing, right, to operate in the spirit of our mighty foremothers. So who can find a virtuous woman? So if you are a married sister, you got to ask yourself that. Am I being a virtuous woman? Am I doing everything in my power? Is my husband, when they ask my husband, right, about me, is he going to say that I'm virtuous? Or is he going to say that I'm nagging? Or is he going to say that I'm a tyrant? Or is he going to say that that I have attitude? Or is he going to say that I'm a demon? You have to really ask yourself that, right? Because what did the Most High say? Let's get the book of Proverbs, chapter 22. All right, let's get the book of Proverbs, chapter 22. You want to ask yourself that. Why? Because you got women be like, you know, married women to be like, I don't give a damn about what he thinks. I'm going to do me. I'm going to do me. Right? On that Drake spirit. Right? But the Most High says in Proverbs 22:1, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. You see that? So if you have a good name of being virtuous, right, your price is far above silver and gold and above rubies to your husband. You see that? So these are things we have to realize. Let's jump to verse 27. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 27. She looketh well to the ways of her household, to eateth not of the bread of idleness, which means that as a wife in this truth, you cannot be idle. You cannot be lazy in your household. You have to look well towards the ways of your household, cooking, cleaning, making sure that things are in order. You know your husband's going to work. He's dealing with he's dealing with teaching our nation, right? Why not remind him? Be like, you know, hey, you know, I checked the mail today. You know, we have this bill here. We have this bill here. We have this bill that's due here. We got this going on, right? The kids need this, right? The kids need that. What game plan can we come up with to be able to accommodate to all these matters? Right? That's being virtuous, man. Right? Not sitting there, he coming on me like, yeah, we got this bill here. We got this bill here. We got this bill. When are you going to pay? Such and such needs shoes. When are you going to get us some shoes? Right? No. You want to make sure that you look well towards your household. Right? That you have a good name. That you're giving yourself a good name amongst your own husband. Thus saith the Lord. Right? Let's jump to verse 15. Jump back. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 15. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. You see that? Which means that she makes sure that before her husband goes to work, that she's going to be the first one to get up, man. She's the first one up in the household, even before the children. Or maybe she may hear the kids crying or they're running around. She knows, oh, the kids are awake. Let me get up. Right? Not sit there laying around, right? Kids is up. They're doing what they want to do. And she's sitting there tapping you. You'd have been at work all day. You tired. She's sitting there tapping you like, could you get up, Reginald? Reginald, could you get up? Could you get up? Junior over there. They over there causing records. Go see what's going on. Right? No, as a woman, as a virtuous woman, as a wife, it's your duty to make sure that you're the first one that's up. To make sure that the household is running properly, man. You know your husband's getting ready to go to work, pack his lunch, right? Or maybe, you know what I'm saying, give him a few dollars, right? So that he can go get lunch if he didn't have time to pack it, right? Put a note put a little note, a love note, right? In his lunch pail, right? On his lunch box, right? That when he gets to work, right? He opens it, he sees a note. And it's a note like saying, I just want to let you know I love you and I appreciate you for all that you're doing. Strive to the end. Endure to the end. When you get home, I'm going to rub your feet. When you get home, I'm going to make sure that a nice bath is ran for you, man, with Epsom salt, right? And a beer or a glass of wine. And dinner's going to be made and house clean and children are in order, right? That's what she does, right? She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. See, virtuous women, when they have children, especially when they are infants, you know that infants do not like to sleep during nighttime. They cry the moment that the bottle is done for. Right? They're going to get up and go make another bottle. They're going to be the ones that's going to get up in the middle of the night, man, and attend to that child, man, knowing that husband needs sleep. Right? That's how you're operating as a virtuous wife, a virtuous woman, man. Right? There are many ways to do it. Thus saith the Lord. Right? Let's go to verse 12. Matter of fact, let's start at verse 11 and read through 13. This is Proverbs 31, verse 11 through 13. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. See, he's never going to be poor spiritually if he's dealing with a virtuous woman, right? These are things we got to realize, right? It's nothing wrong with being a wife and trying to figure out what you can do to help financially. Hey, we living in captivity, man, right? Not every single brother, right, is blessed with a Fortune 500 type job, man. Not every single brother in this truth is waxing with riches, man, right? Here in Babylon the Great. Why not help out? And even if you help out, don't be that type of woman that be like, you know what, I'm going to go get a job, right, so that I can help my husband. Or maybe I'm going to create my own business, right? I'm going to work my business in the house while he's out in the house, you know what I'm saying, outside the house doing what he got to do, right? And then be that type of woman where, you know what I'm saying, both of y'all done got off work, right? And he's tired, and you doing the same thing, talking about, oh, I'm just tired. You're a woman, talking about, I'm tired. He's like, babe, you know what I'm saying, babe, do you feel like, can you please, get dinner prepared? Well, I've been at work all day. And you like, well, I've been at work all day too. Well, so have I. And all hell breaks loose, man. No, it's still your duty as a woman, right? To make sure that you are looking well towards the household, right? Verse 12. she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Or you got wives that try to lay their hands on their own men, right? You got wives that want to be in that Jennifer Lopez enough spirit, right? Kind of go get in training, you know what I'm saying? Getting training with a Benjamite, right? Trying to kind of learning how to fight, you know what I'm saying? Kind of going to damn, you know what I'm saying, damn Dick's Sporting Goods, buying gloves, right? And training bras, right? And damn, you know what I'm saying, spandex shorts, right? And boxing boots, right? Then you kind of sneaking in the house while you sleep, you know what I'm saying? Jumping from the top window, right? And then sitting there like this, ready to fight, man, right? Right. Talking about crock pot time, man, right? Most High's not dealing with that, right? You don't want to do evil towards your man, right? You don't like the fact that he asked you to cook, so you go and damn, and when you make his plate, you know what I'm saying, you damn poisoning his junk, man, right? On that Medea spirit, right? Trying to kill him so you can collect a check of life insurance, right? See, a virtuous woman, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. You see what I'm saying? Sitting there slapping a man, right? Then all of a sudden he slap you back, and you start crying. Oh, right? That baby boy spirit, right? That Yvette spirit, right? I told you to stop cheating on me. Then all of a sudden he lost it. He's like, well, get off me, and backhands her. Now she crying. Oh, you said you would never hurt me, Jody. That is confusion. No, you don't put your hands on a man, right? That's not being a virtuous wife. That's not being a good wife. That's not being a virtuous woman. You got to check yourselves too as well. If you are women in this truth and you have a husband, every day y'all can be better. Just like us as men, every day that we can be better to make sure that our household is peaceful, right? Thus said the Lord. Let's get the book. I got a couple more. Let's get the book of Titus, right? The classic, right? Right? This is also the role of the wife, right? Because, of course, you're going to bring forth children, right? You're going to bring forth children, which is a beautiful thing, by the way. It's a very beautiful thing, right? To bring forth children, right? Let's get the book of Titus, right? Bear with me, right? Let's get the book of Titus, right? Chapter 2, right? Chapter 2. Let's go there. This is Titus chapter 2, and let's start at verse 2. This is Titus chapter 2, verse 2. Matter of fact, let's start at verse 3. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to do what? To love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. You see that? So if you are a woman in the truth and you are married, right, you want to make sure that your behavior is holiness, that your behavior is separate from the behavior that we're seeing, right, from women that's in this world. You want to make sure that you're not a false accuser, man, right? You got a lot of false accusers as wives, man, right? That sit there and lie. That sit there and lie on their husbands, man, right, amongst their homegirls, just for attention, right? Don't be given too much wine. And that's double fold. Don't be a drunkard, and don't be given to the philosophy of Babylon the Great, right? Who want the women to be on their own, who want the women to be on that independent Beyonce mindset. You have to be a teacher of good things. And the teacher of good things is teaching these commandments, right? And when you're teaching the commandments, you need to be teaching them, right, to not only women around you, right, but even young women, right? Teaching them to be sober, right? To love their husbands If you are loving your husband, right, and showing that through your own life, other women that's around you are going to see that. They're going to honor that. They're going to come to you for advice, right? And to love their children. You got wives that don't and that don't even love their own children. You got women that don't even love their own children. They on that Halle Berry, you know what I'm saying, losing Isaiah type spirit, man. Right? They don't love their own children. Right? We've seen these things. Right? You got women that's operating like damn Precious, the mother of Precious, on that Monique spirit, man. Right? Talk about come on down here and make me feel good type spirit. Right? They don't love their own children. Right? You have to love the children. Right? Don't sit there and have that Deuteronomy 28 and 56 spirit where you despise your own son. You despise your own daughter. Right? That's not operating like a good wife. Be discreet. Right? Keepers at home. It's a beautiful thing for a woman to be at home. Right? She don't need to be out there for the streets. You know that term. Right? She's out. She's for the streets, fam. That's what they say. She for the streets, dog. She for the streets, bro. She for the streets, man. Right? You don't want nobody saying that about you as a woman in the truth. Right? Yeah. What you know, sister such and such, right? Then somebody else be like, yeah, fam, she for the streets. Right? You want to make sure you have a good name. Right? Be a keeper at home. Be obedient to your husband. If your husband, you know what I'm saying, is asking for you to do something, do it. If your husband is calling your phone, don't purposely ignore his phone call. That's off. Because you're in your own little zone. Right? You have to be communicative with each other, man. You have to work with one another to bring peace to your household. Thus said the Lord, man. Right? Let's get Proverbs. Right? I read this already. No, I'm going to go back to Proverbs chapter 31 real quick. I got 3 more. I believe I got 3 more. I got Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 31, verse 23. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. So if you are being a virtuous woman, right, your husband has a good name amongst other men, amongst everybody, amongst the elders. Yeah, that brother, you know what I'm saying? That brother's wife is mighty, man, right? And she's in order, man. Right? These are things that we have to realize, man. Right? Brother said, me and my wife both used to attend IUIC together. I left, she stayed. It has really taken a toll on our marriage, but I can't get down with them. Well, so first of all, Salaki to hear about that, right? Salaki to hear about that, right? You said, so you left IUIC, but she stayed, okay? But she's still your wife, right? But I will bring this up, right? I will address this, man. I'm not going to address this too much, but I will bring this up, right? Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 26. If she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh and give her a bill of divorce and let her go. But you have to determine if whatever that she's doing is liable for you to write, it is actually law for you to write her a bill of divorce. If she's not committing adultery, right, then it's not wise for you to write her a bill of divorce, right? You have to work with that thing. You got to be patient. You have to pray. You have to fast, brother, right? It's not a sin to choose what organization that you want to deal with as far as dealing with this truth, right? Because the Most High will lead your spirit to different organizations or lead you to different brothers, right? But at the end of the day, IUIC is not your household. A camp is not your household. A camp is not your household, right? Your wife is your household. So you have to pray and exhort and exercise those spirits from the left-hand side, man, right? And you have to communicate with your wife, man, right? And establish order in your household. Thus said the Lord, right? That's your wife. It's not your friend, right? These are things that we have to realize, right? And so lucky that is taking a toll on your marriage, but it starts off, I was speaking earlier about the men, right? And I don't know too much deep into your situation, brother, but I love you if you are an Israelite, man, right? And love is keeping the commandments. So we have to make sure as men that we start working on ourselves first, so that we give something that our women want to be submissive to. Right? And a wife is supposed to follow you, right? Not another, you know what I'm saying, not another organization. She's really supposed to follow you wherever you go. So what you do, brother, is you pray for your wife. And you pray that the Most High deals with that situation. And you continue to operate like a righteous man that you were supposed to operate in. And if it is meant for that woman to be with you, the Most High will put a spirit in your wife, brother, right, to follow you and to honor you and to operate as a virtuous woman. If she decides not to, and you're continuing to live righteously, the Most High will put a spirit in that woman, man, right, to do something that will cause you, right, that will give you leeway, right, and give you the green arrow to go ahead and file for divorce. And that's facts. We're just gonna keep it 100, right? But we love you, King, right? Lord willing, and you know what I'm saying, Lord willing, man, you know, you get that situation worked out. Right? Now, all praise to the Most High, man. Right? So these are things we got to realize. Let's continue. Let's read from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 23. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. Verse 24. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Right? She's good with her hands, man. Right? She's using her hands. She's sewing. Right? Again, she's cleaning. She's doing the things that she needs to do. She's ironing. She's doing the laundry. Right? Hey, I'm going to keep it 100, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's nothing wrong with men doing their own laundry, but if you got a wife, a man should not have to do his own laundry. Right? Now, and you men hearing that, man, don't be that nasty husband, man. Right? And have doo-doo on your drawers, man, and expect her to just, you know what I'm saying, have some order about yourself. Be clean about yourself, man. Right? Verse 25. Strength and honor are her clothing. I'm going to read that again. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time come. So women, your honor comes in honoring your husband. Your strength is in honoring your husband. The glory that is supposed to come to you is in honoring your husband. Not honoring another man that you are not married to. Honor your husband. You want salvation? Honor your husband. Your salvation is on the line. See, this is what I say, right? And really the Bible says this, right? Men, our responsibility as husbands is to make sure that we keep the law, statutes, and commandments, that we're teaching our households, that we're doing the works of the Most High God in order to make our calling and our election sure. That's why 144,000 chosen elect, dealing with 12 tribes, each from Israel, 12,000 from each 12 tribes of Israel, right, is dealing with the men, because they're going to be that governing body. The 1/3 remaining of men, women, and children are dealing with the Israelites. So it's our job as men to do the works that the disciples did, to do the works that the prophets did, to do the works that Yahawashi did, right? The Lord did not instruct women to get out there on the highways and hedges, man, right, in damn boots, man, right, and staffs in their hand, right, bringing out the word, right, and rebuking the nations, man, right? The Most High did not give you guys that responsibility. Your husband has to deal with a lot of spirits anyway when he's out there on the highways and hedges, right? Because that determines his work. Faith without works is dead. And the same thing goes for the woman in the household as the wife. You can have faith in the Most High. You can have faith in Yahawashi. But if you're not putting in the work in your household, then your faith is dead. Your salvation depends on how you treat your husband. If you are married, man, right? That's a good point. Let's bring that out. Right? Sirach 33:19. Give not thy son in wife, thy brother and friend, power over thee while thou livest, and give not thy goods to another, lest it repent thee, and thou entreat for the same again. That's plain upon tables. That is plain upon tables, right? We have to make sure, man, right, that our minds are always occupied in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? Let's Proverbs 31:26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. So again, women can speak, right? If you are a wife, you can speak, but make sure that when you are opening your mouth, that wisdom is coming out of your mouth, right? And if you want to know how to speak with true wisdom, you also have to study. That's why it's so important as husbands that you study with your wives, that you teach your wives, so that they know what to speak as far as dealing with wisdom when it comes out of their mouth. Right? You don't want gossip coming out your mouth if you are a wife or if you are a woman, right? That's big amongst our community dealing with our women of Israel. You want wisdom to come out your mouth, man. You want these laws, statutes, and commandments to come out your mouth. Thus saith the Lord, man. Right? These are things we got to realize, right? These are things that we have to realize, man. Thus saith the Lord, right? Let's go to Sirach 25:1, right? About to wrap this up, right? Lord willing, this is edifying, right? This is Sirach chapter 25, verse 1. In 3 things I was beautified. And we're dealing with men and women as a whole, married couples as a whole, right? In 3 things I was beautified and stood up beautiful both before God and men, the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together. You see that? The Most High says that it's beautiful, right, when a man and a wife both agree together. These are things that we have to realize, man, right? These are things that we have to realize, thus saith the Lord. So in order to be in agreement together, everybody has to play their role to the fullest. As a husband, you have to make sure that you are operating the spirit of Christ, who is your head. As a woman, you have to make sure that you are honoring your head, which is your husband. And if you don't have a husband, you have to make sure that you're also following Christ. Thus saith the Lord, right? Because you are a helpmeet, right? And we cannot forget that as men, that they are our helpmeet. Let's end with this last one. Genesis chapter 2, right? Let's start at verse 23. This is Genesis chapter 2, verse 23. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So as long as you're operating the spirit as a whole, right, in your household, there's going to be peace in your household. When trials and tribulations try to come in your household, because you guys are operating as one flesh. You're communicating with each other. Thus saith the Lord. And we have to practice these things every single day. It's very important, right? So giving all praises, honor, and glory, right? Look at this, man. This is madness, man, right? One body doubtless, right? Don't you got something better to do? Esau is not the white man. Well, if you don't believe what the Bible says, why don't you go Google people in Mount Seir, which is in the Bible, and see what you get. Get cut by Google with that one, right? But hey, man, right? Giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh. Ba'ashem Mashiach Komalak Yahushai. I want to say shalom to everybody's in the chat. Y'all bear with me on my phone, right? Forgive my thumb, right? Shalom Salome Williams, right? Love Pius, right? My aunt Phineas Gad Israel, right? From Seattle since 1980. Shalom. Anthony N, right? Hebrew daughter. T. Sellers, gang Israelites, children of the prophets, man, right? My dear brothers in Seattle, man. Shalom, shalom. Wake up, Israel. Shalom, my brother Will, man, from WFI Seattle. Shalom, shalom, King, right? T. Sellers, shalom, shalom, sis. Richard Morantis, shalom, shalom. Don Israel, shalom, shalom. My brother, the 12, man, my mighty brother Amayar from WFI Seattle. Shalom, shalom. Who else we got here? Sugar, shalom, Mina Israel. right? King Trey, Slim D, Wake Up Israel, Hadassah Jael, right? Shalom. Jimmy Tillman, Shalom, Shalom, right? My brother Malak, TB Adar Gabar, right? Shalom, man, right? AKA Judah Mysterio, man, right? My mighty you know what I'm saying, Jerry Dawson, JD, Shalom, right? Abba Nazar Gabar, Shalom, Shalom. Melody Tunes, Shalom, Shalom. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. Padat, Shalom, Shalom, right? Salakia. Chaya Israel, Shalom. Almost through here. Tyree, Shalom, Shalom, King, right? Aki Eliezer, Shalom, right? And everybody else, man, that was chimed in, man. If I didn't mention you, man, Shalom, Shalom. I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? Giving all honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Kamalak Yahushai. Again, let wisdom dwell. Everybody else, Shalom, Shalom. Right? Let's end this with a huge Kwam Yasharallah, and let's continue to pray and be steadfast for our households through the spirit of the Most High Yahweh. By Shema Mashiach Kamalak Yahushai. Shalom.